The next step in this part is to get this radius in there. This one's a lot harder because there is not a cutting, there's not a plane already set up to cut in the correct direction. Also, it should be noted that this radius could technically be done with the radius and fillet tool. The reason I didn't use that is that you would have to select each one of the edges on all of your end caps, and you would also need to link to this radius such that if you changed this sketch, that the radius always matched. I find it easier if I'm doing multiple bodies like this to just use a cutting plane and copy this silhouette so that no matter what happens to this silhouette is just automatically transferred. And if I am going to be using multiple, if I'm going to be also using the same cutting plane technique for this radius and all the other ones, typically I like to use the same ideology. So if I'm going to be needing to add radiuses with a cutting plane anyway, I will do my other radiuses the same way so that it's easier to figure out what's going on in the tree. But let's go ahead and show how this is made. So the first step to get this radius extending is we need to put a plane which this single cut does the tops and bottom end caps, but we need a plane that's in the correct direction. So what we do is we grab this edge and create a plane and then make it perpendicular to this face. Well, I picked this face. So it's coincident with this. You can see edge 1 is coincident and it's perpendicular with this face here, and that creates a direction that we can use for our extruded cut. It should also be noted that I decided to also cut this radius, even though that's not technically needed. How I built this leg is by welding the end cap on first and then radiusing this edge and radiusing this inside one so that I have a even weld gap. If you did not radius this edge, you would have the sharp corner here, which would kind of stand out a lot more than a consistent gap. So it would be more noticeable, and it's not how the part is actually made anyway, because you want this nice even seam so you get an even weld buildup. So I went ahead and I left this cutting both the inside and outside radii. So let's go into our other leg, and we can set up a plane to start cutting these. So we can go to new plane, we can grab our face, we can say that the offset is 0, we want it right on it for the second reference. Oop, no, I want this perpendicular, there we go. Now we can have our plane, we can hit check. Now what we can do is sketch on that plane, and we want to use our convert entities silhouette entities tool. We can select this profile, we can hit check. We can then do a features extrude cut. We can do through all. We can flip the side to cut so that it's cutting on the outside. Auto select the body is turned off, and let's select this body and that body. And we can hit check, and we can see that that cutting plane now has gone through and sliced our edges. Now they're beveled. So we can hide that plane. And now we need to go and do the same procedure on this tube, which will have to be separate from the one on this tube since these planes are not in line with each other. So we can go create a plane. We can say we want that to be perpendicular and coincident there. We can hit check and then go to sketch, automatically select what plane. We can do silhouette entities, click our line, go to features, extrude cut, flip the side to cut so it's on the outside. You can see this arrow is showing that it's going to be on the outside. We then want to flip the direction because we want to cut down, not up, with this button. Then instead of having auto select bodies, which will try to cut just everything, we can uncheck that and we can select just this. Then when we hit check, we can have our radiuses there. We can hide our plane, go down to this bottom one, create a new plane, perpendicular, coincident, hit check, sketch, automatically selects plane, silhouette entities, features, extrude cut, flip side to cut. We also need to flip the direction again, and select only our end cap. Hide the plane, and now we have our radius transferred at an angle onto our end caps.